This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, has received the Secretary General of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum, GECF, Mohammed Hamel, according to a press release from the Presidency of the Republic.
It's time.
The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, has received the visiting chairman or German Vice Chancellor and Federal Minister of the Economy and Climate, Robert Habeck, according to a press release from the Presidency of the Republic. And Nicaragua has asked to formally join South Africa's genocide case against the Zionist entity in the International Court of Justice, ICJ, the UN's top court said today. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. First in our news, the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, has received the Secretary General of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum, GECF, Mohammed Hamel, according to a press release from the Presidency of the Republic. In a statement to the press following his meeting with the President of the Republic, GECF Secretary General Mohammed Hamel expressed his gratitude to Algeria for having agreed to host the forum's 7th summit of the heads of state and government, praising the guidance of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, in making the summit a success. The GECF Secretary General said that he had given the President of the Republic a briefing on his visit to Algeria and the preparations for the summit, which are at a very advanced stage. He added that he had also given him a presentation on the activities of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum, as well as on the Gas Research Institute based in Algeria, reiterating his thanks to the President of the Republic for hosting this institute. And the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, has also received the visiting German Vice Chancellor and Federal Minister of the Economy and Climate, Robert Habeck, according to a press release from the Presidency of the Republic. In a statement to the press following his meeting with the President of the Republic, the German minister expressed his optimism about the promising future of cooperation between Algeria and Germany in the field of energy, particularly in the exploitation of green hydrogen. Saad Bouhazi has more details in this report.
Robert Habeck said that during his meeting with President Tebboune, he perceived the wisdom of the President of the Republic and his desire to establish peace and reconciliation, adding that the aim of his visit to Algeria was to examine ways of strengthening cooperation in the economic and energy fields. On this subject, he said that he was very optimistic about the future of cooperation between the two countries in the field of energy, believing that economic cooperation in the field of energy policy will contribute greatly to establishing peace and achieving prosperity. Recalling that his country imported hydrogen, particularly green hydrogen, the German official hailed Algeria's enormous potential in this field, stressing that Algeria and Germany and the countries in between, such as Italy and Austria, could implement major projects to create a new energy world. Robert Habeck also said that the German government is grateful to the Algerian government for having increased gas quantities at a time when Russian gas supplies were lacking, underlining that his country was aiming to significantly reduce its gas consumption in the future. He said that Germany planned to create new industrial stations throughout the country over the next 15 to 25 years to replace natural gas with hydrogen, adding that low-carbon hydrogen will be produced using wind and solar energy. The German official pointed out that Algeria will be able to make a significant contribution to this project thanks to the existing gas pipeline which crosses the Mediterranean and which can be easily used to create a mutually beneficial environment to enable Algeria to prepare for the post-gas era to ensure future prosperity and wealth.
Still with the domestic file, the Minister of Industry and Pharmaceutical Production, Ali Aoun, has received the German Vice Chancellor and Federal Minister for the Economy and Climate, Robert Habeck, accompanied by a delegation of German industrial company managers, according to a ministry press release. The talks, which took place in the presence of Germany's ambassador to Algiers, Elisabeth Wolbers, focused on ways and means of strengthening and promoting cooperation in the industrial field. In this respect, Ali Aoun listened to presentations by German companies planning to launch investment projects in Algeria, particularly in mechanical engineering, manufacturing, and pharmaceutical industries. In his capacity as special envoy of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, arrived in Nouakchott on Thursday evening, bearing a letter from President Abdelmajid Tebboune to his brother, the President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, a sister country, Mohammed Ould Sheikh Al Ghazouani. This visit is part of the traditions of continuous contacts and regular consultations between the leaders of the two brotherly countries, with a view to strengthening the positive dynamic of Algerian-Mauritanian relations, ensuring their continuity and success, and working to promote peace and stability at the regional level. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, has received in Algiers his counterpart from the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, Mohamed Sidati, according to a press release. The two parties reviewed the latest developments in the Western Sahara issue at diplomatic level. They reiterated their support for the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres and his personal envoy Staffan de Mistura in their efforts to revive the political process for the settlement of the Western Sahara conflict on the basis of the exercise by the Sahrawi people of their inalienable and imprescriptible right to self-determination in line with the relevant resolutions of the UN General Assembly and Security Council. The two ministers also discussed the main issues on the agenda of the forthcoming African Union Summit and the ministerial preparatory meeting, the press release concludes. The Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Army General Saïd Chengriha, has held talks as part of his visit to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with the Chief of the General Staff of the Saudi Armed Forces, Army General Fayyad bin Hamad Al-Ruwai, according to a statement from the Ministry of National Defense. On this occasion, the Army General delivered a speech in which he praised the distinguished welcome he and his accompanying delegation had received from the Saudi authorities, expressing the hope that this visit would be crowned with results that would further the rapprochement that characterizes relations between the two brotherly countries. The U.S. ambassador to Algiers, Elizabeth Moore Aben, has said that the conflict in Western Sahara had gone on long enough, pointing out that Washington is in favor of resolving the conflict within the framework of the United Nations and through the work of the UN Secretary General's personal envoy, Staffan de Mistura, underlining that the United States seeks that de Mistura should have the space and opportunity to work for a political solution to the conflict. Nicaragua has asked to formally join South Africa's genocide case against the Zionist entity in the International Court of Justice, ICJ. The UN's top court said today, with Managua stating it had interests of illegal nature of the lawsuit. The Central American country last month announced plans to attach itself to the application by Pretoria, which dragged the Zionists before the International Court of Justice. South Africa, long a vocal supporter of the Palestinian cause, has accused the Zionist occupier of breaching the 1948 UN Genocide Convention over its ongoing military aggression in Gaza. Managua filed its own application on January 23rd, which the Hague-based ICJ confirmed today. And the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has warned that the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency UNRWA cannot be replaced. Several countries, including the United States, Britain, Germany, and Japan, have suspended funding the UNRWA, and Antonio Guterres has led talks with donor countries to have payments reinstated. No other organization has a meaningful presence inside Gaza, and nothing compared with this situation, so there is no other organization that would be able now to replace it, Antonio Guterres told a media briefing. The Commissioner General of the UN Palestine Refugee Agency, UNRWA, Filippo Lazzarini, has warned that at least 300,000 people in northern Gaza are on the verge of famine amid continued Zionist siege on the region. Lazzarini added that the last time UNRWA was allowed to deliver food north of Wadi Gaza was on 23rd of January. The United Nations Committee has called for massive psychological or psychosocial support for Palestinian children traumatized by Zionist genocidal attacks in Gaza. At a press conference, the chair of the UN Committee on the Rights of Child, Anne Skelton, said that the rights of children living in the midst of the ongoing Zionist war in Gaza are being severely violated to a level rarely seen in recent history. And the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, has condemned the widespread destruction of civilian infrastructure by the Zionist occupation army in the besieged Gaza Strip, including residential buildings, schools, and universities in areas where there is no fighting. Saad Bougazi has more details.
The UN official declared that massive and unjustified destruction of property and carried out unlawfully and without cause amounts to a violation of the Fourth Geneva Convention and a war crime. Since the end of October 2023, the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights has recorded widespread destruction and demolition by the Zionist army of civilian and other infrastructure, including residential buildings, schools, and universities in areas where there is no longer any fighting. These demolitions also took place in Beit Hanun in the north, in Shuja'iyya in Gaza City, and Nusayrat camp in the center. Some demolitions were also reported in other regions, with the destruction of many buildings and residential blocks in Khan Yunis in recent weeks. This destruction of homes and other essential civilian infrastructure also reinforces the displacement of communities living in these areas prior to the escalation of hostilities and appears to make it impossible for civilians to return to these areas, he added, reminding the authorities that the forcible transfer of civilians may constitute a war crime.
And the savage Zionist aggression against the defenseless Palestinian people in Gaza by land, sea, and air, started on October 7, 2023, has entered its 126th day so far, killing 27,840 Palestinian civilians, including over 12,000 children. Additionally, over 67,000 people have been injured, while more than 8,000 people are still missing under the rubble and on the roads. The number of Palestinians arrested by the Zionist occupation forces in the occupied West Bank since October 7 has reached 6,920, according to the Palestinian news agency Wafa. The figures include Palestinians arrested in their homes and at military checkpoints, those who were forced to surrender under pressure, and those held hostage as part of the Zionist aggression in Palestine and the ongoing genocide in Gaza, says Wafa, citing a press release from the Palestinian Prisoners Club. And the number of Palestinian journalists killed in Gaza has risen to 124 since the start of the Zionist aggression against the Palestinian enclave, following the death of Palestinian television journalist Nafez Abd al-Jawad, the Palestinian enclave's media office has said. The media office explained that Abd al-Jawad was killed as a result of the occupation's continuous attacks on and bombardments of citizens' homes in the besieged territory. With this last piece of news, we come to the end of this news bulletin. Time now for our weekly program, with this special program devoted to the mining exploitation here in Algeria, compiled and presented by my colleague Mariam Bershi. And for me, I'll meet you again tomorrow for a fresh edition of our news bulletin in English. Until then, stay tuned to Radio Algeria International, and bye-bye for now.
The mining sector in Algeria, which has been underexploited for several decades, has witnessed in 2023 a genuine revival of its activities thanks to the decision of launching mega projects as part of a global vision based on strengthening the contribution of mineral resources to the diversification of the national economy and the support to manufacturing industries and agriculture, in line with the guidelines of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmejid Tebboune, aimed at putting the mining sector among the state's priority sectors. Indeed, 2023 is the year of the mining sector by excellence, given the dynamics which have marked the sector, in particular through the launch of iron ore processing operations from the strategic deposit for Kharj located in the southern province of Tindouf, one of the largest in the world and one of the most important national investments in the field of mining since independence. In this context, the state is focusing its efforts on the valorization of unexploited underground resources, one of the main axes of the strategy of diversification of the national economy, as part of the action plan for the period 2020 to 2024, with the aim of reviving the sector to contribute more effectively to national development. The visit by the President of the Republic to Gharj Bilet deposit, the first of its kind for an Algerian president since independence, constituted the effective starting point of this important project, an opportunity to emphasize the need to renounce to export of raw materials, particularly mining, with a view to creating added value in the national mining industry, which was strengthened this year by the launch of the zinc and lead deposit in Oued Mizor in the province of Bejaia, in parallel with the clear progress recorded in the integrated phosphate project, which covers 4 provinces in the east of the country. The Gharj Bilet project will achieve several objectives, including support for metallurgy industry, the achievement of iron self-sufficiency, the development of the southwest region of the country, and the promotion of exports. In addition to its significant economic benefits, the mine, whose reserves are estimated at 3.5 billion tons, is now a model of structuring project, whose implementation, the President of the Republic has insisted, should be done according to an integrated and complementary approach with the various industrial and infrastructure projects, especially since the project will contribute to strengthening the country's capacities with a view to relaunching heavy industries and ensuring better prospects for employment when its maximum capacity has been reached. From 2022 to 2025, 2 to 3 million tons of iron ore per year will be extracted. Then its capacity will increase as from 2026 to 50 million tons per year, in parallel to the implementation service of the Gharj Bilet Beshar mining railway line, which stretches over 950 kilometer distance. As part of the same approach for the development of the Gharj Bilet mine, the latter will be reinforced by the steel complex in the province of Beshar, the completion of which is planned in 2026 with an investment of $1 billion. Mine development and exploitations activities are able to create national economic dynamics, contribute to development of the mining sector as a whole, accelerate the path of diversification of the national economy, and promote non-hydrocarbon exports. The operation of the mine will be supervised by the National Iron and Steel Company Ferral in partnership with the Chinese consortium CMH. With a budget of approximately $7 billion, the integrated phosphate project in the east of the country is processing as a steady path as part of the partnership agreement between Asmedol and the industrial group Managim El Jazair Menel on the one hand, and the 2 Chinese companies, Wuhan and Tianan, on the other hand. This is a mega project which includes the development and exploitation of the phosphate deposit in Beled El Hadba, in Tabessa, the chemical transformation of phosphates in Oued Kibirit in Soukharas, the production of fertilizers in Hajar Sud, in the Wilaya of Skikda, as well as the dedicated port facilities at the port of Annaba. The project will allow Algeria to become one of the main fertilizer producing and exporting countries with an annual production of more than 6 million tons of phosphate products. Given the importance of this integrated project for the development of the country, the construction of mining railway lines has been planned with a view to transporting the extracted raw materials on 4 sections with a total length of approximately 300 kilometers. Among the major projects on which Algeria is betting, the zinc and the lead deposit of Tala Hamza in the municipalities of Tala Hamza and Oued Mizor in the province of Bejaia, the foundation stone of which was laid last November. This new mining project, whose operation will begin in 2 years, will strengthen and increase the country's mining capacities and create added value in order to support the diversification of the national economy while taking into account the environmental aspect and sustainable development objectives, in addition to the creation of thousands of direct and indirect jobs. At the legal level, the mining sector will be consolidated by a new law, the preliminary draft of which was recently presented in a new version during the government meeting. The draft law aims to create a legal environment conducive and favorable of the development of the mining industry and an incentive framework for investors, in addition to promoting technology transfer. The result for an Algerian-Australian partnership, this zinc and lead deposit support project, aims to exploit a deposit containing a reserve of 34 million tons with the extraction of 2 million tons of raw minerals per year to produce 170,000 tons of zinc concentrate and 30,000 tons of lead concentrate. To find out more about the projects, let's listen to this interview conducted with the Director General of WMZ Company, which is the Algerian-Australian joint venture, in charge of managing the project, Mrs. Mariam Touati.
Tel Hamza Wad Amizur Zinc and Lead Project is a high-grade zinc and lead project located within the Wad Amizur lease area in the province of Bijaya in eastern Algeria. The project has been granted the status of public utility on account of its importance for the Algerian economy and its development. As a matter of fact, the Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Arqab, indicated that the zinc-lead deposit of Tel Hamza Wad Amizur represented one of the world's largest reserves of these strategic metals, whose exploitation will boost economic growth in Algeria. We have the honor to host the Director General of Western Mediterranean Zinc, WMZ, which is the joint venture in charge of managing the project, Ms. Mariam Touati. Ms. Touati, hello and welcome to Radio Algeria International.
Thank you.
First of all, could you please give us a small overview of the Tel Hamza Wad Amizur Zinc and Lead project, how it started and who started it?
Tel Hamza Wad Amizur Zinc and Lead project is a joint venture between the Algerian public company Sonarem. It's the National Mining Research and Exploitation Company through its two subsidiaries, ENOF and ORGM. So this JV, this joint venture, was created in 2006 under the name of Western Mediterranean Zinc, WMZ. So the Algerian part, ENOF and ORGM shareholding is 51% and Terramin Australia shareholding is 49%. The main objectives of the joint venture is the evaluation of the Tel Hamza Amizur zinc and lead deposit reserves, exploration of the surrounding area of the deposit, carrying out the technical and economical feasibility study, and finally, operation of the deposit.
The Ministry of Energy and Mines has recently affirmed that all technical and financial conditions have been met for the effective launch of the project. When will the project kick off officially?
Actually a detailed feasibility study was carried out by internationally renowned offices, including several technical aspects like the exploitation, processing, environmental and impact, as well as the economic study. So all necessary studies have been completed and validated by the competent authorities to assess the impact of the deposit exploitation, which allows us to launch the project before the end of the year, inshallah.
The instruction of launching the project as soon as possible was given by the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, during a Council of Ministers meeting. This is evidence of the importance the President personally grants to this mine. In your opinion, how will the project contribute to developing the region and enhancing Algeria's economy in general?
Yes, so it was actually the subject of the national conference held on October 7 of this year at the University of Bijaya under the topic of the rarefaction of mineral resources and positioning of Algeria, also the role of the zinc lead deposit of Tel Hamza Wad Amizur. So the increased global demand for metals and associated products in many industrial sectors had led the rarefaction of some of them. Making access to this metal a direct issue on international markets. Hence, certainly the need to put in place proactive solution in the field of research, prospecting and exploitation to ensure their availability and meet local demand while reinforce Algeria's share in the global market. So the zinc and lead mine project with its 53 million of tons of resources and exploitable reserves of 34 million tons for a production of 2 million tons per year meet this local need and yes, certainly reinforce the share of our country in the world market without forgetting, of course, the local advantages like the creation of more than 700 direct jobs and 4,000 indirect jobs for the benefits of the university graduates, vocational training centers, and also the young people in the region.
The first feasibility study was based on a mining method known as the block caving method, but was soon replaced by another method which is more eco-friendly and which has less footprint on the mining lease and the environment. Could you please give us more details on this particular method?
The first feasibility study was in fact based on a mining method block cave, the mass caving, but it was not quickly replaced as you mentioned, but it took 4 years from 2010 to 2014 to replace it by the backfill method, which required the redesign of all the feasibility study. So this operating method allows the extraction of ore in low resistance rock, which is the case of the rock in the area here, Talla Hamza and Amizour, and it consists of descending galleries to extract the ore which will be treated in the processing plant by a flotation system. Approximately 70% of the processing rejects from the plant will be used as a backfill inside the galleries, which makes the use of the tiling dam unnecessary. And the water coming from the mine is completely treated in the water treatment plant on inside the site of the mine, and this is what makes this method very protective for the environment.
So, Ms. Tweti, allow me to go back to a very important aspect, which is the aspect related to the impact on the environment. How is this aspect tackled in the feasibility study? What can we say to reassure the citizens of the region and Algerians as a whole?
Yes, the environmental study were carried out by internationally renowned offices such as ATC William. So all the environmental aspects were carefully studied: hydrology of surface and groundwater, biodiversity, air quality, noise pollution, climate, soil and river sediments, water management plan, cultural and archaeological legacy, visual aesthetics. So, and also as I explained earlier for the extraction method, the back and fill, it's a very protective method for the environment.
Ms. Tweti, thank you very much indeed for this rich interview. I recall that you are the Director General of Western Mediterranean Zinc, WMZ, which is the joint venture in charge of managing the project in Algeria. Thank you very much indeed.